Trading is not about predicting price. Trading is about mastering yourself. It's about confronting the instincts you inherited from generations of survivors. It's about recognizing that your brain is millions of years old and it was designed for one purpose: stay alive. Not become profitable, not follow a plan, not treat uncertainty with calmness. Your brain was built to react, not to analyze. And the moment money enters the equation, that primitive brain wakes up. It doesn't see a losing trade, it sees a threat to survival. It doesn't see a winning trade, it sees an opportunity for dominance, for status, for power. This is why a trader feels fear so intensely, even when sitting safely at a desk. This is why greed takes over the moment a candle pushes in your direction. This is why hesitation, revenge trading, overconfidence, and emotional swings feel uncontrollable. Because deep down, the brain cannot distinguish between a financial loss and a physical danger. This is the core message you must absorb. Your brain is not designed for trading. You must redesign it. Only a small fraction of traders, Randy estimates about 2 to 3%, ever reach consistent profitability. And those individuals are not special because of their intelligence or because they found some magical strategy. They succeed because they confronted the one truth most traders avoid. Psychological mastery is the foundation of trading success, and the heart of this mastery lies in a single counterintuitive concept. The successful trader becomes an expert at losing. This idea destroys the illusions new traders cling to. Trading is not about avoiding losses. Trading is not about being right. Trading is not about perfection. It is about accepting loss without emotional disturbance. It is about seeing losses as part of the environmental landscape, not as personal attacks. It is about recognizing that every trade is a probability, never a certainty. People fail because they resist this truth. They fight it. They refuse to accept that a loss is not a reflection of their worth, but simply a cost of doing business. Randy describes how traders grow up in a world that conditions them to tie identity to achievement, to tie self-worth to success, to tie confidence to winning. In the markets, that conditioning becomes lethal. Because markets do not reward ego, markets do not care about your need to prove yourself, and markets will not bend simply because you want them to. The traders who evolve, the traders who truly transform, the traders who reach that top 2%, are the ones who detach who they are from the outcome of a trade. They understand something most never learn. Emotions create thoughts. Thoughts create actions. Actions create results. If the emotion is wrong, the outcome will always suffer. This is why Randy repeatedly emphasizes that self-awareness, emotional regulation, and psychological restructuring are not optional. They are the core of trading. If you do not master your emotions, your beliefs, your survival instincts, and your identity, then trading will expose you, break you, and defeat you. Because trading is not just a financial pursuit, it is psychological warfare. It is emotional discipline, and ultimately, it is a journey of self-mastery. The market is the mirror, your behavior is the reflection, and your evolution is the reward. When a new trader enters the financial markets, they imagine the journey will be defined by strategy, by technical skill, by screen time, or by finding the perfect setup. But Randy Howell reveals a deeper truth. Most traders fail not because of the markets, but because of the mind they bring into the markets. This failure doesn't come from lack of intelligence. It doesn't come from lack of effort. It doesn't come from lack of opportunity. It comes from something far older, far more primal, and far more powerful than a candlestick pattern or a trading plan. It comes from the human brain itself. Randy explains that 95% of our daily decisions are not logical at all. They are emotional. And this means when you sit in front of the charts, the person placing the trade is not the calm, rational version of you that you wish you were. It is the ancient survival brain, the emotional brain, the brain wired for danger, scarcity, and instinct. Imagine a caveman standing in front of a tiger. Now imagine a trader watching price move toward their stop loss. To the brain, those two situations feel the same. The brain sees loss as a threat to survival, a threat to status, a threat to identity, a threat to belonging. And once the brain interprets a threat, logical thinking shuts down. That's when hesitation appears. Fear takes over. Greed rushes in. Revenge trading sparks. Overconfidence builds. And the calm plan written on paper dissolves under emotional pressure. This is why most traders fail. They assume trading requires skill. while ignoring that trading demands emotional evolution. Another core reason for failure is the belief that markets can be controlled. People enter trading thinking they can influence outcomes, force results, or bend the environment to their will. But the market is indifferent. It does not react to your desires. It does not reward effort. It does not compensate for discipline lapses. It simply responds to probability, liquidity, and collective emotion. Randy emphasizes this repeatedly. Trading is a probability game, not a certainty game. And yet humans crave certainty. They crave patterns. They crave predictability. That craving makes traders overanalyze, overtrade, and constantly chase perfection. But perhaps the most destructive forces are limiting beliefs, the invisible emotional programs that traders carry from childhood, culture, family, and past experiences. These beliefs run silently beneath the surface. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to succeed. People like me don't get rich. Money will be taken away. Being wrong means I'm worthless. Rich people are corrupt. Success isn't meant for me. These thoughts are not random. They are the emotional blueprint formed long before a trader ever placed their first order. And when real money is at risk, these beliefs activate with full power. A trader who unconsciously believes that no one should earn $1 million will sabotage profits the moment they approach that threshold. A trader raised around scarcity will panic at the slightest drawdown. A trader with low self-worth will unconsciously seek losses to confirm an internal narrative of inadequacy. A trader desperate to prove themselves will overtrade every time they feel insecure. Randy highlights that these beliefs are so deeply embedded that most people aren't even aware they exist. They think they are reacting to the markets, but in reality, they are reacting to themselves. This is why traders repeat the same mistakes even after learning strategies and refining systems. This is why they blow accounts even after swearing they won't. This is why they can be right on analysis and still lose money. The battle is not on the chart, it is inside the mind. Fear shuts down opportunity. Greed blinds judgment. Perfectionism delays execution. Control issues create chaos. Emotional hijacking destroys consistency. Every one of these is rooted in a survival mechanism misapplied to a financial environment. This is the core message Randy wants traders to understand. You are failing, not because you are incapable, but because you are biologically unprepared. Until you retrain the emotional brain to interpret risk differently, nothing changes. Until you challenge and replace limiting beliefs, progress stalls. Until you accept that uncertainty is unavoidable, clarity never comes. Until you stop tying your worth to outcomes, trading remains a torment. Most traders fail because they bring an untrained mind to a domain that demands psychological precision. But the moment you understand this, the moment you see that your failures are not flaws, but unconscious survival responses, the moment you realize your emotions are not enemies, but outdated code, that is the moment the transformation begins. Because you cannot change what you cannot see. And once you see the truth, you can decide who you will become. When traders sit down at their screens, they believe they're entering a financial battlefield. But Randy Howell reveals the truth. The real battlefield is internal. The charts only reflect one thing: how well you can manage your own mind. And within this internal battleground, 5 psychological forces rise again and again to sabotage traders. These forces aren't random. They are ancient survival programs, built long before you ever took your first trade. The first psychological enemy is fear of losing. Fear doesn't simply make you cautious. It rewrites your entire internal chemistry in a split second. When a candle moves toward your stop, your body reacts as if you're in danger. Your breathing shortens, your muscles tighten, your thoughts speed up, your hands tremble. And suddenly, the plan that looked so clear a moment ago evaporates. You hesitate. You cut winners early. You avoid valid trades. You second-guess what you already analyzed correctly. Fear becomes a puppeteer, pulling your strings before you even realize what's happening. This fear isn't about money. It's about identity. A loss feels like a threat to self-worth. And this misunderstanding is one of the deepest reasons traders remain stuck. The second psychological force is greed. Most traders misunderstand greed. They see it as a moral flaw. But Randy explains it differently. Greed is simply a survival instinct, pushing too hard. It's the brain's attempt to secure more resources, more safety, more advantage. It is neither good nor bad. It is simply mismanaged energy. But in trading, unmanaged greed blinds you. You ignore risk, you chase moves, you overtrade, you size up too fast, you push beyond your edge. The promise of just one more win becomes the beginning of destruction. Greed seduces you into believing the market owes you something. It pulls your attention away from probabilities and toward fantasies. And once the fantasy takes over, discipline collapses. The third psychological trap is perfectionism. This is one of the silent killers of trading performance. Perfectionists want every entry to be flawless, every analysis to be complete, every outcome to confirm their intelligence. But trading is a world built on uncertainty. No amount of analysis will ever deliver absolute clarity. Perfectionists freeze. They want more confirmation, more proof, more certainty. And by the time they act, the move is gone. Or worse, they refuse to accept losses because losing violates their need to be right. Perfectionism is not a strength in trading. It is a cage that keeps you from executing with confidence. The fourth psychological force is the need for control. This one destroys entrepreneurs more than anyone else. People who've built businesses, led teams, or shaped environments with their willpower are used to forcing outcomes through effort. In life, control can create success, but in markets, control creates disaster. Traders with strong control tendencies try to bend the market to their expectations. They widen stops, add to losers, fight trends, and ignore changing conditions. They place themselves above the market instead of within it. But the market cannot be controlled. It can only be observed, understood, and responded to. Control-oriented traders struggle the most because the market constantly challenges their identity. Letting go feels like weakness, but it is actually the beginning of mastery. The fifth and most powerful psychological force is emotional hijacking. This is when your breathing stops, your posture tenses, your heart rate jumps, and your thinking brain gets shoved aside. In this moment, the ancient survival system takes over completely. Your logic shuts down, your emotional brain steps in, and you begin reacting, not thinking. You revenge trade, you double down, you cancel stops, you take impulsive entries, you lose sight of everything you planned. This hijacking isn't personal, it's biological. Your brain was built to save your life, not your account. And unless you consciously retrain your emotional responses, these hijackings will repeat endlessly. Each of these psychological forces, fear, greed, perfectionism, control, and emotional overwhelm, are part of the same truth. The trader loses not because the market is stronger, but because the inner world is untrained. If you want to become a trader who survives and eventually thrives, you must rewire the way your brain interprets threat, reward, uncertainty, and identity. You're not learning a strategy. You're not learning a pattern. You're learning how to become a new version of yourself. One who can face loss without collapsing, one who can face uncertainty without fear, and one who can act with clarity, even under pressure. The psychological problems traders face are not signs of weakness. They are signs of humanity. But humanity must be guided, trained, and transformed if you hope to master the markets. In every trading community, thousands of traders gather with hope, ambition, and hunger for financial freedom. Yet only a tiny fraction, just 2 to 3%, ever break through to true consistency. Randy Howell spent decades observing these individuals, studying their behavior, their mindset, and their inner world. And the truth he uncovered is both humbling and empowering. The winning traders are not smarter, not faster, and not luckier. They are simply psychologically different. Their success is built on a foundation of inner transformation, not technical knowledge. The first defining trait of the top 2% is this: they learn to remold their mind. Most traders enter the markets with a mind shaped by childhood, shaped by fear, shaped by insecurity, shaped by the need for approval, shaped by the desire to matter. These emotional programs follow them into every decision they make. But the elite trader realizes early on that the mind they brought into trading cannot take them where they want to go. So they begin the work, slow, uncomfortable, honest work, of restructuring their relationship with fear, with uncertainty, with success, and with failure. They stop trying to prove themselves. They stop tying their worth to outcomes. They stop seeking validation in wins. Instead, they focus on building a mind capable of performing under pressure. And that is the second trait. They think in probabilities, not outcomes. While most traders obsess over being right, chasing certainty, predicting tops and bottoms, forcing the market to align with their expectations. The top 2% understand that every trade is simply one event in a much larger statistical reality. They detach their identity from each individual result. They don't panic when a trade loses, nor do they become euphoric when a trade wins. They see the outcome as data, not judgment, as information, not identity. This ability to think in probabilities frees them from emotional turbulence. It keeps them stable when others are reactive. It keeps them focused on the long game, not the next candle. But the third trait is perhaps the most crucial. They build emotional discipline. Randy defines emotional discipline in a phrase that captures its essence perfectly: maintaining order under pressure. This discipline is not the discipline of forcing yourself to follow rules through sheer willpower. It is the discipline of emotional awareness. The discipline of regulating breathing, noticing tension, managing the arousal level of the nervous system. The discipline of staying present, centered, and composed when the markets attempt to pull you into chaos. Most traders believe discipline is about being tougher. But the elite traders know discipline is about being calmer, about maintaining inner order even as outer conditions shift rapidly. This emotional discipline becomes the backbone of their execution. Strategies come and go, market conditions evolve, but the ability to remain stable, that is timeless. The fourth trait of elite traders is their ability to detach identity from outcomes. Randy shares a powerful example: a trader who became wildly successful only after realizing a life-changing truth. He lost $750,000 in a single day, a devastating blow that shook the foundation of his identity. He feared he would lose everything, especially the love and acceptance of his wife. But when he told her the truth, she didn't judge him. She embraced him. They cried together. And in that moment, he realized something profound. Whether I win or lose, I am still loved. That realization freed him. It cut the emotional chain tying his worth to his performance. It dismantled the need to prove himself through money. And it opened the path to consistent, detached, and high-level decision-making. This is what the top traders understand. You cannot trade freely if your identity is tied to the result. Because every decision becomes a test of who you are. Every loss becomes an attack. Every win becomes a lifeline. Elite traders break that link. The top 2% exhibit a deeper internal alignment, a psychological maturity built over time. They are not driven by desperation. They are not chasing status. They are not seeking revenge. They approach the market with a balanced mix of patience, humility, courage, and acceptance. They know when to stand aside. They know when to strike. They know when to walk away. They treat trading like a performance, not a battle of ego, but a dance with uncertainty. These traders master themselves first and the market second. And that is what sets them apart. Not talent, not luck, not strategy, but transformation. A willingness to evolve into someone capable of playing a game of uncertainty with clarity, composure, and inner strength. This is why the 2 to 3% rise and why so many others fall. When Randy Howell talks about trading psychology, he doesn't speak in cliches. He doesn't reduce it to be disciplined or control your emotions. He presents a complete psychological model designed to retrain the trader's emotional brain, rebuild their inner architecture, and align their identity with the demands of uncertainty. His model isn't motivational, it is structural. It gives a trader a blueprint for transforming themselves from the inside out. Randy's framework begins with something deceptively simple: breath control. To most people, breathing feels automatic, irrelevant. But in Randy's world, breathing is the doorway to everything. He teaches diaphragmatic breathing because it lowers the arousal level of the emotional brain, reduces the fight or flight response, and keeps the logical mind online. When a trader breathes deeply and slowly, they send a signal to the nervous system that they are safe, even in the presence of financial risk. This signal delays emotional hijacking. It restores clarity. It keeps the mind stable. And stability is the foundation for all psychological performance. The second pillar of Randy's model is mindfulness, though not in the casual sense people usually imagine. This isn't about sitting cross-legged or repeating affirmations. Randy teaches mindfulness as the ability to observe thoughts without becoming them, to step back from the internal dialogue, to notice fear rising before it becomes action, to see greed forming before it takes control. to watch the inner critic speak without obeying its commands. This kind of mindfulness breaks the illusion that you are your thoughts. Instead, you become the observer, the one who notices, evaluates, and chooses. In trading, that separation is a superpower. It lets you interrupt emotional patterns before they hijack your plan. The third component of Randy's psychological model is perhaps the most unique and the most transformative: archetypes. Inspired by the work of Carl Jung, Randy believes that inside every trader lives a collection of characters, each representing an emotional program that evolved over thousands of years. These archetypes exist in all human beings, but only elite traders learn how to manage them. The ruler represents discipline, the ability to enforce order under pressure, to follow rules even when fear or temptation calls you away from your plan. The warrior represents courage, the strength to enter trades when your edge appears, not when it feels comfortable, and to act despite internal resistance. The caregiver represents self-compassion, the ability to treat yourself with kindness after mistakes instead of attacking yourself and creating emotional trauma. The sage represents wisdom, the logical, impartial interpreter of market conditions, untouched by ego or fear. On the shadow side, the orphan represents fear of abandonment, scarcity, and the need to protect oneself at all costs. The critic embodies self-doubt, negative self-talk, and the internal voice that insists you're never good enough. In Randy's model, the trader's job is to strengthen the empowered archetypes and silence the destructive ones. The ruler must lead the trading session. The warrior must take the trades. The caregiver must comfort the mind after losses. The sage must interpret market logic. The orphan and critic must be acknowledged but not obeyed. To help traders work with these archetypes, Randy adds the fourth pillar: symbolic visualization. He encourages traders to select powerful symbols from history, mythology, or personal experience that embody discipline, courage, or compassion. These symbols are not fantasies. They are emotional triggers designed to activate the desired archetype in real time. A Roman centurion, a wise elder, a loyal dog, a calm warrior, a gentle healer. Each symbol becomes a psychological anchor. When a trader embodies the symbol, the emotional chemistry in the body shifts and a different mental state emerges. Then comes the fifth element: self-observation using real tools, mirrors, cameras, physical feedback loops. Randy instructs traders to record themselves trading so they can witness their own tension, breathing patterns, facial expressions, and posture. A trader can watch themselves transform from calm analysis to emotional chaos. This awareness reveals the exact moment where a destructive archetype takes over. Beliefs like "I'm not good enough" or "money is dangerous" must be pulled out from the roots. New beliefs, based on courage, self-worth, and acceptance, must be built consciously. When you combine breath control, mindfulness, archetypal activation, symbolic training, self-observation, and belief restructuring, you get Randy Howell's complete psychological framework. This model turns trading into a path of inner mastery. It transforms chaos into clarity, fear into awareness, greed into ambition, mistakes into lessons, and the trader into a composed, powerful version of themselves, capable of acting with precision in an uncertain world. When traders hear the word psychology, they often imagine something vague, something abstract, something that sounds good but feels hard to apply. But Randy Howell does the opposite. He translates powerful psychological principles into practical tools. Tools you can use immediately. Tools that anchor you during chaos. Tools that reshape your emotional behavior from the inside out. His methods are simple, but they are not easy. They require awareness, honesty, and consistency. And when used correctly, they transform how you interact with uncertainty. The first tool is surprisingly accessible: the camera or mirror exercise. Randy instructs traders to place a small mirror beside their trading station, or better yet, a recording device pointed directly at their face. When you do this, something extraordinary happens. You witness your emotional state in real time: the tension in your jaw, the shallow breathing, the tight shoulders, the moment your eyes widen or narrow. Without even realizing it, your body broadcasts your emotional level long before your mind admits it. When traders watch these recordings back, they discover moments of micro-panic they never felt consciously. They see the fear, the frustration, the excitement, the desperation, all written across their face. This awareness breaks the illusion of control and opens the door to emotional regulation. The mirror becomes a window into the unconscious. The second tool, and one of Randy's most foundational methods, is breathing training. This is not casual breathing. This is diaphragmatic breathing, slow, deep, belly-centered breathing designed to calm the survival brain. Randy teaches traders to breathe in a way that lowers heart rate, steadies the nervous system, and keeps the cognitive mind online. A relaxed breath pattern says, "I am safe. I do not need to react. I can observe clearly." Most traders don't realize that emotional hijacking begins with breath. When breathing becomes shallow, the body prepares for fight or flight. When it deepens, the mind regains control. Randy builds the trader's entire psychological foundation on this principle. If you control your breath, you control your state. The third tool is one of Randy's most overlooked but most effective strategies: 10 15-minute mind alerts. He instructs traders to set recurring alarms throughout the trading session. Not alarms to take trades, not alarms to watch price action, but alarms to check in with your emotional state. Every 15 minutes, the alert asks one question: is the mind I'm trading with right now the mind I want to trade with? This simple pause interrupts emotional drift. It exposes overconfidence before it turns into impulsiveness. It reveals fear before it causes hesitation. It reminds the trader to breathe, to reset posture, to return to the present moment. These micro check-ins keep the trader's mind aligned with their plan, not their impulses. The fourth tool is scheduled breaks, usually every hour. Randy explains that the brain consumes glucose during deep focus at a rate far higher than normal daily activity. After an hour of intense trading concentration, the mind becomes foggy, slow, and vulnerable to emotional mistakes. Traders often interpret this mental fatigue as market stress, but it's physiological exhaustion. A break is not a luxury. It is cognitive maintenance. Walk away, move your body, step outside, drink water. Those 15 minutes of rest prevent irreversible emotional errors. The fifth tool is Randy's powerful post-trade analysis, a structured reflection that separates performance into three categories. 1. Method mistake. Did you break your rules? 2. Psychological mistake. Did emotion override your plan? 3. Probability outcome. Did you do everything right and still lose? This breakdown shifts a trader's focus away from winning and losing, and towards self-evaluation and growth. A losing trade is not always a failure. A winning trade is not always success. Randy teaches traders to diagnose the quality of their decisions, not the result. This mindset is one of the defining traits of consistent performers. The sixth tool is one Randy considers essential for emotional reset: physical movement after a loss. When traders take a painful loss, the body floods with stress chemicals. These chemicals don't simply disappear. If they remain in the system, they distort perception, tighten muscles, and agitate the mind. Randy teaches traders to immediately move the body, walk, stretch, do light exercise to burn off the chemical surge. Movement clears the emotional slate, so the next decision comes from clarity, not residual panic. When these tools come together, the mirror, the breath, the alerts, the breaks, the structured analysis, and the physical reset, they form a practical psychological toolkit that any trader can use. They ground you, they stabilize you, they give you power in moments where the ancient brain wants to take over. And perhaps more importantly, they turn trading psychology from a vague concept into a daily practice, a set of repeatable behaviors that build consistency where chaos once lived. Every trading mentor talks about strategy. Many speak about discipline. A few mention psychology. But Randy Howell goes even deeper, into the philosophical core of trading. He reveals that trading is not simply a skill or a profession. It isn't an income stream, or a game, or a technical challenge. Trading is a mirror. And the moment you look into that mirror, you come face to face with the truth of who you are. The first philosophical idea Randy offers is that trading forces you to confront yourself. Not the version of you that you show the world, not the disciplined trader you imagine yourself becoming, but the emotional self, the vulnerable self, the self shaped by childhood, shaped by insecurity, shaped by survival instincts passed down through generations. In everyday life, most people spend years avoiding their inner world. They avoid fear, they avoid shame, they avoid confronting their own limitations. But in trading, you cannot hide. Every decision exposes your psychology. Every loss reveals your beliefs. Every win exposes your attachments. The market becomes the purest feedback mechanism for your internal state. This leads to the second philosophical idea. All emotions have a purpose. Fear, greed, shame, guilt, doubt. These emotions aren't flaws. They aren't weaknesses. They are biological mechanisms that helped your ancestors survive. Fear kept humans alive. Shame kept communities functioning. Greed pushed early tribes to gather resources. These emotions were not created for trading, but they were created for survival. In the modern market environment, the same emotions exist, but the stakes have changed. A losing trade is not a predator. A drawdown is not famine, yet the emotional system reacts as if those threats are real. Instead of demonizing emotions, Randy teaches traders to understand them, to recognize their purpose, to learn from them, and to redirect them into healthier roles. Fear becomes awareness. Greed becomes ambition. Shame becomes a catalyst for growth. The emotions themselves are not the enemy. Your unconscious relationship with them is. The third philosophical theme Randy emphasizes is profound. Failure is the only true teacher. Humans love success. They crave validation. They celebrate wins. But Randy reveals what neuroscience already knows. The brain does not learn from success. Success reinforces existing patterns. It rewards the familiar. It strengthens comfort zones. Failure, on the other hand, disrupts the system. It forces adaptation. It exposes blind spots. It pushes you to evolve. The traders who rise to elite levels are the ones who learn from losses rather than trying to avoid them. They examine mistakes without attaching shame. They separate identity from outcome. They understand that every setback is information, not judgment. This mindset transforms losses into stepping stones. The fourth philosophical idea is one Randy repeats with clarity. Trading psychology is not the same as trading mindset. A mindset is a surface-level attitude, a temporary state influenced by confidence, motivation, or mood. But psychology is deeper. Psychology is identity. It is the set of beliefs you inherited long before you understood money. It is the wiring that tells you whether you deserve abundance or scarcity. It is the emotional blueprint formed by parents, teachers, culture, and past experiences. Trading psychology is not about hyping yourself up. It is about reshaping the subconscious forces that control your behavior under uncertainty. This leads to the fifth philosophical truth. Your childhood beliefs determine your trading decisions. If you grew up feeling unworthy, the market will reveal it. If you grew up believing wealth is dangerous, the market will reveal it. If you internalize the idea that money corrupts, you will unconsciously sabotage profits the moment they grow too large. Randy explains that many traders repeat the same pattern for years, not because of lack of skill, but because their emotional blueprint has never been updated. The sixth and most powerful philosophical idea is this. Trading is a path of self-mastery. It is not just a financial journey, it is a psychological evolution. Randy calls trading the perfect self-mastery tool because it exposes every unconscious belief, every emotional wound, every fear that has been ignored. The market is indifferent. It doesn't pretend. It doesn't soothe your ego. It simply reflects your internal structure. When you face the market, you face yourself. If you carry fear, you will see fear in the charts. If you carry greed, you will chase setups that don't exist. If you carry shame, every loss will feel personal. If you carry insecurity, every win will feel fragile. But when you reconstruct your inner world, when you stabilize your emotions, when you reshape your beliefs, when you detach identity from outcome, trading becomes something different. It becomes a performance of clarity instead of a battle with chaos. It becomes a reflection of growth instead of a struggle for validation. It becomes a practice of self-mastery instead of a search for certainty. You do not trade the markets. You trade yourself. And when you evolve internally, the markets become a place of opportunity, not threat. Clarity becomes natural. Consistency becomes achievable. Mastery becomes possible. These insights are not just trading lessons. They are lessons about how to live, how to understand yourself, and how to navigate uncertainty with composure and strength. They reveal why most traders fail, why a small handful succeed, and what transformation looks like when it finally begins within the mind. You are stepping into a version of yourself who can face uncertainty with clarity instead of fear. A version who can accept loss without losing themselves. A version who can trade with stability while others panic. A version who understands that mastering the markets is impossible, but mastering yourself is the path to everything. This is the transformation that turns ordinary traders into the rare, consistent few. Thank you for listening. Thank you for growing. And thank you for choosing to step onto the path of self-mastery. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a different kind of trading journey. I'll meet you in the next video.